welcome back to the channel. Today is one of our big bee days is what I'm calling it. At my level of beekeeping, still a hobbyist, there's only a few like real big bee days, meaning where we have a lot of work to do. So the first big bee day is typically like the first inspections of the season. First time cracking it, open the hives, checking out things, making sure we're good to go. Second big bee day is going to be when you start doing your splits, making new hives, installing nukes, installing packages, just expansion in general. And then the third one is going to be honey extraction day. But today we're on the second one where we are going to be doing some splits. It's actually going to be a 2-day ordeal where we are getting bees from one yard and taking them to the new yard in order to prep for tomorrow, which is whenever I get some new queens to put in those new hives. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to try and find as many deep frames as we can that contain either food, so nectar, capped honey, or pollen, and some mixed brood, while still leaving enough for the hives out here. And then also, I'm going back to my roots, so to speak. We're gonna go to where my beekeeping journey kind of began, the middle school that I started beekeeping at, and actually do a mite treatment for my buddy who has the bees out there. Speaking of mite treatments, I didn't have a video last week, but I had to do a mite treatment. I did a test on my hives actually out here where we're going, and one hive had 4 mites per 300, so that's a little bit more than a 1% mite infestation, which is not, it's tolerable. It's not bad. 3% is the threshold, so that would be 9. Excuse me. And then the other hive had a whopping 15 mites in it, and that was just from the sample I had. So that's a 5% mite infestation. So I went out, hit both of them with some oxalic acid vapor. So I'm going to get a check and see how that did. See what the mite kill is. Probably high, hopefully high. But there's not really anything else I could do right now, just because we're in the nectar flow. It's not super strong right now. I don't know. It's a weird year so far from what I can tell. So we're gonna wait until we pull our supers for like bottling and extracting and selling honey. We'll wait until then to do another mite treatment, but we're definitely gonna have to treat heavy. We'll still do some like samples here and there just to kind of see where we are. Goal is still to do 1 sample a month, so I'll have to do one for April here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, it's gonna be a big day. I actually took off work today so I could come out and do all these things, because there was no way I was gonna be able to do it after work. So yeah, I'll get to that first bee yard and I'll kind of explain things a little bit more. So here is the little insert from the hive that had 15, the 5% mite count. And I'm seeing some mites, like there's one, let's see this kind of rounded thing there. Where else? I saw a lot of them. Not as many as I would hope for, but there's still a good bit. Look, like right in here, bam, bam, bam. There's another 3, 4, 5. So these little circular guys that you see right at the tip. Let me see if I can get that zoomed. There we go, I got one on here. Focus. There you go. Okay, so the little circular looking thing on the end of my hive tool here is what's causing all the problems. Those are varroa mites. There you go, focus. And they can carry different diseases. K-wing virus, deformed wing virus is the main one, and that can actually take out a hive. So this guy right here is the one that had the big mite issue. This one had a smaller mite issue, Both of them got treatment. The way that I do that, and I've kind of changed it up a little bit, but in the past, I've actually drilled a hole directly into the like bottom deep and just plugged it with a golf tee. Now, let's leave that right there. Walk over to the truck. Instead of drilling into the deep, I just did it into the bottom board. So this is plugged up throughout the year whenever I'm not having to treat, but whenever I have to treat, I can just pull this out. That hole right there is big enough for the tube of my vaporizer to go into. I do the treatment, plug it back up with the golf tee. Got it, there we go. And that's it. Yeah, they will kind of popularize that a little bit. It does make it tough to get out, but if I break a golf tee, it's just a golf tee. I could get a bag of them, like 200 of them for like $5. So, all right, so I'm just cracking into the first hive. These 3 boxes right here, I'm only going to take probably this bottom one. These 2 right here are going to be my honey supers for the year. So at the end of the year, what's going to end up happening with this hive is it will have the deep box at the bottom, the blue faces come with us, and they'll have this medium right here. So our winter configuration is going to be a deep and a medium, right? So in the past, it also had a second medium. They don't really need the second medium. From what I've seen, if they are properly fed, either through sugar syrup or just a decent fall flow, having the deep and medium combination is more than enough for them to actually go through the winter. I can also supplement with fondant. So I can work with just the deep and the medium. Didn't realize I'd have an update this quick for you. That is, all this white that you see right here is capped honey. So this is the first frame I pulled out of that top box I just showed y'all. And if you look down in the hive, you can kind of see more white wax. That's all capped honey there. Look on this side, capped honey on this side. Can't really see too well because there's bees in the way, but it looks like maybe to this frame right here is capped. And actually on this side of the frame, you can kind of see if they'll move, which they're not going to, and that's okay. But there's some drone brood starting on this frame. Can't tell on this frame just by looking in, but then you can see again, there's that white wax. So we see more capped honey. So potentially this hive has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'd say 7 frames of capped honey just in this one box. That is a sure sign that your nectar flows on. If you're ever curious if the nectar flows on, just look for white wax. This is one of our honey supers. One of the big differences I have is that has 10 frames. This has 9 frames. Okay, and the reason I do 9 frames in the honey supers, this is something I'm trying out for the first time, is to allow them to draw out big, thick combs like what you see here. It just gives them more space, which means it's a lot easier for me whenever extraction time comes to actually uncap the wax. And you'll see what that looks like sometime in June. Here's the problem I ran into with both of them, and I knew this was an issue. I just forgot all about it. The design of my honey supers, the ones with these kind of little, oh gosh, finger, get out the way, right there and there, okay, boxes, if you're looking at the yellow, 3 and 4, does not allow for me to actually put the lid back on. And that's just because of those handles that I have. So instead of having like a handle cut into it, like a cove cut into it, I just have cleats on the outside. Which means that my lids, both the telescoping and the migratory lids that I made, just don't cover it. So I had to leave a medium on both of those hives, which is fine. These hives are my strongest ones right now, so they can go and fill up that top super to their heart's content. They're still the queen excluder, so the only thing that's going to go up there is honey. And I can then kind of spread the wealth once we get into our dearth a little bit later on in the summer. Yellow hive did exactly what I wanted them to do. So the 2 nuke boxes you see right here have a total of 10 frames in them. The green All 5 frames in it are drawn out. They either have brood on them or some nectar, mostly brood though, and that green box is in fact very heavy. The purple-ish one has, I believe it was 3 frames in it. 2 of them, or excuse me, it has 5 frames. 3 are fully drawn out. The other 2 are kind of meh. There's not really a whole lot. There's actually 1 frame in the green that has a queen cell on it that's not fully capped, but it does have larvae in it. So we're going to hold on to that because we are having some like requeening issues with one of the hives at the other bee yard, and if those problems have fully resolved, great, fantastic, not going to worry about it. We'll just basically put that queen cell in a different hive and we'll, you know, make it work from there. That's pretty much it. Let me get the truck packed up, strap down the yellow hive, and I will see y'all at the next bee yard. All right, so we're back at the, what I'm calling the Cannon bee yard, just based on some of the roads nearby. And I'm already partially set up. I have those 5 single deep boxes that you see here, but we're getting 8 queens tomorrow. So I've got to set up 2 more on this one and 1 more on this one. As you can see though, this front landscape timber is definitely warped. It's way worse than I thought it was. So I'm going to have to go by and get a new one. As far as our swarm trap, whole lot of nothing. It's still there, still doing its thing. It's just there just in case something happens, but it doesn't look like anything's going to. Bees made it here just fine. It's about a 25-30 minute ride from the other bee yard, but I'm gonna get suited up, get things checked out. We're gonna see if the new queen is in the peach hive as well, because if not, we're gonna give her, or we're gonna give that hive that queen cell that we saw. So yeah, let me get suited up and get started. Okay, so this is our hive that we've been battling to get a queen for a while, and we have one. Look right here, that is our new queen. I can't tell if she's mated or not. If she's a virgin queen, then she's a big virgin queen. All right, so I had to put the frame back in because the queen started going to the other side. But I'm happy that we at least have a virgin queen in here. This frame does still have 6 capped queen cells on it. So there's some drama that they have to work out. I'm not gonna sit here and pick which queen's gonna be the new one. But regardless, if that queen's a virgin, she still has to go out on a mating flight, and then she has to start laying eggs. So it's going to be a couple weeks, but we're not going to do any additional work to this hive for a while. We're just going to let it kind of do its thing. But we'll come back in 2 weeks, and if we see eggs, we know that we have a mated queen. And if we see her in 2 weeks, we'll also mark her. But that's all complete. So now I have in every single one of these guys, the single deeps, there's at least 1 frame of bees in there. It's not a lot. The good news is they're mainly nurse bees, so they'll be around for a little while, and some of them even have, I think actually all of them have some brood in them as well. So once we get the queens tomorrow, we'll get those installed. Those will take about 2-3 days to come out of their cages, which is great because right now, so the reason we are doing this a day early is so that any existing queen pheromones can just go ahead and dissipate, and these bees will think they're queenless. That means they'll be more accepting of the new queens. So next time you see me will be when we are installing queens. Today is Big Bee Day Part 2. So yesterday I came out here and put up all of, not only put up the rest of the hives, so there was these 2 right here and that one that needed to be put up, but now each one of these little single deeps right here has at least 1 frame of bees in it, and what they're missing is a queen. And the reason that today is Big Bee Day Part 2 is because I've actually, let me grab them real quick, careful, there we go. got these 2 bags, and in these 2 bags are a total of 8 queens. My plan today is pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and replace that wonky, warped landscape timber, and then I'm going to insert the queens in each one of those single deeps. They are going to get a gallon of sugar syrup because it's not all worker bees in those. There's a lot of nurse bees, and nurse bees don't leave the hive for a little while, so they need to have a food source. And I've also got pollen patties I'm going to put in those single deeps as well for the same reason. They need a food source. I'm probably only going to do like a half of a pollen patty per hive. It's hard to say, half a pollen patty per hive. There we go. And then I'll come back out in about 4 or 5 days, see where they are on the syrup, and also see where they are on the pollen patties, and replace it as needed. But that's the plan. I'm gonna get suited up. It is a warm one today. It's April 5th. I looked a second ago. The average temperature is normally about 74 degrees. It's 85 right now, and one of the warmer days we've had. I'm just not used to it yet, so I'm probably gonna end up sweating like crazy. I've already drank a whole bunch of water, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Getting ready to start inserting the queens in the first 2 hives, this one and that one. This is actually one of our hives that has been doing really well, and one of the first hives we had out here. And the first thing I noticed in our new hives is there was maybe a golf ball size of bees, and I was kind of concerned about this to begin with. My concern was that we would have some type of drift happening, which is very possible. Basically, that means that workers go to the wrong hive. Instead of going back to their hive that they're used to, they go to the hive next to it or the one that's next to that. And I think what occurred is whenever I brought those bees from the other bee yard, that I had mainly workers instead of nurse bees. So I've taken a frame of brood from the kind of faded blue hive and put it in here, and I did the same with the hive next to it. When you have a frame of brood, the bees that are going to be on them are nurse bees, which means they have not orientated to the actual outside of the hive. They don't know where they live. They just know that they're inside the box. Eventually, once they get a little older, they end up in a orientation flight, which is where they face the hive while kind of hovering, and they do a little figure 8 pattern, and then they'll kind of spiral off, learning their the location of their home. So I'm hoping I don't have to do that with all of my singles, because I'm going to run out of nurse bees pretty quick. If that's the case, I'll figure things out. But let's go ahead and talk about what to do with our queens. All right, so this is a queen cage. Inside of this, you have a queen and about 5 or 6 worker bees. They are hanging out in there with her, taking care of her. And this white that you see, let's see if I can get it in some good light, is actually a fondant. The way this works, the bees inside with the queen eat their way out, and the bees on the outside of this queen cage eat their way in. I'll open a little gate on this side and let them kind of, take their time getting to know each other. That's what the whole purpose of that candy inside is. It gives the bees inside a chance to get to know the queen. So we'll put her right here for a few minutes and kind of monitor the reaction. I know that the bees that are on that frame are not going to be thrilled because it is a different queen, but we can kind of see what's happening. Now, you already have a whole bunch of bees coming to check things out. They smell something different, and that's the queen pheromone that the queen on the inside, is releasing. There's no signs of aggression. Kind of see a lot of, we'll call it sniffing, but that's not really what it is. They're just checking things out. They're not trying to ball. They're not trying to sting. They are just walking around the top, interacting with the bees inside of the queen cage, and getting to know those bees. The bees that were on the frame that I left in here would be very interested and very happy, because they have not had a queen in over 24 hours. So you can kind of see they're over here. Looks like they're trying to figure out a way to get over. So let's move her over here and see what happens. and automatically you see bees coming up to investigate. That's what we like to see. Now when we excuse me, when we install her, we're actually going to kind of push her into the wax a little bit, and we're going to have the candy up. And the reason we have the candy up instead of candy down is in the event that any of the bees inside of this cage die, they can't clog up the hole, right? So candy up, that way if anybody does die in there, they'll fall to the bottom and the queen will still, in about 3 days, be able to crawl out. So I'm gonna get that started, and I'll come back with a little report afterwards. And here's the result. So we have our queen back here. The gate is open. I've got half a pollen patty, and it's over our open brood. We are going to keep the center of it open because of my lid design. Get this thing on here. All right, so our lid design has a giant hole in it. Normally that hole is covered with just a mason jar lid. And the reason we are keeping that open is because we're also going to feed sugar syrup. Now we have a 1 gallon bucket of sugar syrup. My one concern is there is a little bit of a gap there from the pollen patty, and I don't have any shims. So I think I'm just going to have to put a little pressure and flatten out that pollen patty so that we don't have any gaps and no pests or other bees can get in. But that's what we got going on. I have to do it for 7 more colonies. Hopefully we don't have any problems and I don't have to take any brood from anybody because we don't really have enough brood. I might just have to shake some bees and just go from there. But I'm going to work on that and I'll let you know how everything went once I'm done. I'm on my last 2 and this is what you want to see. I went ahead and put the queen cages out a little bit early. Bees are checking them out. They're excited. Not as excited over here, but there's less bees over here. So I don't know. I feel like things are good. There's still a little bit of a gap at the front of each one of these new hives. But that's going to go away as they start to eat the pollen. But I'm liking the way this looks. Let's go around to the front. Yeah, I like how this looks. So if we're looking at our more established ones, this is the one that had a potentially virgin queen in it. They're hanging out on the front porch. We'll need to replace this bottom board at some point in time. It's probably my original bottom board that I had from my very first hive. Over here, same thing. You know, just kind of hanging out. This one, and that one all are screen bottom boards. I'm trying out solid bottom boards in all my other deeps. We will compare and see what happens. Over here in the green, got a few venturing out. I'm gonna put an entrance reducer there. I've got to kind of square up the yellow and put an entrance reducer at the front as well. But everybody is going well. The good news is the only 2 that really needed more frames was green and yellow. I think it was light blue here had an excess. They had like 3 or 4 frames somehow of brood. So we spread the wealth around. Everybody's excited. I'm hearing lots of buzzing. I'm hoping that the mixture of the syrup and the pollen patties will kind of stimulate these new queens because they've got a lot of nurse bees. They're not going to get any fresh nectar from any plants for a little while. But we're going to finish up and then just wait and see what happens. And we're done. Now, we got to wait. That's the next part to see if these queens are actually accepted, which I have a good feeling that they are going to be accepted. We're seeing a lot of activity. Let's see if I can get a good angle for you. Yeah, I don't think you guys are really picking that up on the camera, but we're getting some good activity outside of all the hives. You kind of see right through here, especially our more established hives, the peach one right here and the blue one right there. I'm seeing a little bit coming out of this light blue right now. I did see one fly into the darker blue. I'm not really expecting to see any activity outside these hives right now just because most of them are in fact nurse bees. So waiting, that's the name of the game right now. So we'll be back out here in about 4 days, which is going to be Wednesday for me. Who knows what it's going to be for you guys whenever you watch this video, but Wednesday for me. I don't know if I'll record another video, but I'll at least try and do a short. That seems to be more up my alley whenever it comes to these little checks and more, I don't want to call them menial tasks, but that's kind of what they are. But yeah, so Wednesday, we'll see what our acceptance rate looks like. Just want to thank you guys again for taking the time to check me out. Hat this week is Blue Ridge Hunting Company. I talked about them in my planning video. That's Bob Benny out in Lakemont, Georgia. It's a good little hat right here. He and Nate at Duck River Hunting have the same brand. I think they're like legacy brand hats. It's lightweight, it's breathable, I mean, because you got the mesh back here. Good design, really appreciate that and like that. They didn't send it to me, I bought it. So don't think that I have any big connections though. Bob, Nate, if you guys are watching, holla at your boy. I'd love to talk to you. But yeah, I feel like it's been a good one. I feel like this is my first day beekeeping again, just like with the level of excitement I have. I am getting to see a lot of starts of new hives, which makes me really, really happy. And the bees are very excited right now from what I could tell. Let me show them to y'all one more time. Sun just went behind some clouds, so hopefully you can see, but there is a nice bit of activity. Like I said, right around this area. Bam, let me not stand directly in front of the hives because I don't want to get in their flight path. But now, yeah, we have 10 hives. The brick method is still rocking and rolling. Normally that means a virgin queen, which potentially true right here, but we're going to just say that it means a new queen instead. So we've got 10. We got space for 2 more. And to be honest, you know, I could kind of tighten this up a little bit and have 4 per section. I don't really want to do that. That's just a little too much for me. We do still have a little bit of a sagging issue. I tried to fix that yesterday, but it's just the terrain of the land. That's all that is. I would have to change a good bit, and I don't feel like doing that. If it becomes a problem, we'll address it, but until it becomes a problem, we're just going to let it slide. So yeah, that's the video. We got a lot done over the last two days. Made some splits essentially. Went and got some new queens. Now I have to go deal with a flat tire, which is going to be fun. Next video is going to be just checking in, seeing how things are going. Hopefully we'll see a lot of progress on our honey supers. Hopefully we'll see a lot of progress on these frames that need to get drawn out in the different, in the new hives. And I know we'll pretty soon we'll have a video on how to actually make a split versus me just doing it like I've done in this one. So if you guys have any ideas for videos, let me know. Anything you want to know about, if it's just like general beekeeping knowledge, if it's on the bee in general and like, I don't know, different parts of it or biology of it or whatever, just let me know. Again, if you want to support me, best way to do it right now is just subscribe. Check out my Instagram. We do have a Twitter, but I never post anything on there. If I'm being honest, the Instagram pretty much just sees the new like little thumbnails for YouTube. I might put something else in there. Also, started a website, sort of, kind of. It's a Google site, sites.google.com/view/Ridgewood Bees. I'll have that in the description as well. I have an Amazon affiliate store that I put in there. If you want to get into beekeeping, that's got some good stuff in there. Also, it has something new that I'm doing with a couple other beekeepers from South Carolina, which is a monthly beekeeping calendar for South Carolina, breaking the state into the low country, the PD, the Midlands, and the upstate, looking at blooms in the areas and also just a general checklist for what you should be doing this month. April's a busy month, guys. We are going to be full-fledged honey flow very, very soon. We're actually pretty much in it right now in my area, which it's a little early, but that could be a good thing. So again, thank you.
If you feel like subscribing, feel like liking, go for it. If not, I hope you still have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.